We have strategic objectives and strategies to address. And our key focus area number one, the strategic objectives to enhance the capacity of KLIF to implement a collective approach in the fight against corruption. With this, we have two main strategies. One is to revamp KLIF, and secondly is to integrate KLIF programs in partner institutions. Area number two, their strategic objective is to promote strengthening of policy, legal, and institutional framework in the fight against corruption. And again, there are two strategies we plan to implement to achieve this. One is advocate for the legislation and review of anti-corruption legal framework. And secondly, is to enhance institutional capacity on the fight against corruption. In the area, focus area number three, the strategic objective is to promote ethics and integrity in both public and private sectors. And the main strategy here is to mainstream ethics and integrity in both public and private sectors. And lastly, on the last area of focus, the objective is to promote ethics and integrity within our Kenyan society. And how are we going to do this? Enhance community engagement in action on integrity and values.
I've been here only for about 6 months. Let me tell you that I really feel this is a region that is blessed with the best resources and the human capital, which is the young people, the demographic dividend, which is the biggest resource in the country as well as in the region. And therefore, this plan is reflective of the aspirations and the need of the hour to basically invest in every single way so that we can preserve our resources and also be able to meet the expectations of the generations, that is the youth. As the recent turbulent times have shown, the citizens demand strong action against corruption. According to the 2023 ASCC Household Survey, corruption is perceived by the citizens of Kenya as one of the most pressing issues to be tackled by the authorities, together with high cost of living, unemployment, and poverty. The Kenya Integrity Plan represents a strong response to these issues. It brings a blueprint of the strategies and actions to be undertaken by the private sector to enhance integrity in Kenya. And most importantly, it invites global partners to support Kenya's anti-corruption efforts, crucial for sustainable development. I have to say, it always seems impossible till we have done it, and this comes from not me, but the honorable leader, Mr. Nelson Mandela, who said, and with whose words I grew up.
In our courtrooms, the adjudication of corruption cases must be pursued with unwavering impartiality and rigor. The judiciary has established Anti-Corruption Economic Crimes Division of the High Court and deployed a good number of senior judges and magistrates to those courts. The judiciary has also operationalized the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsman, headed by the Deputy Chief Justice, to receive and investigate complaints against the judiciary and its employees. We have also automated case filing and management system that includes payment of all court fees electronically and uploading of all judgments in order to enhance transparency in those operations. Further, we now have e-diaries for all the superior courts. However, I must state that investigation and prosecution of corruption cases are the major determining factors in the outcome of these matters. I have often been appalled by some instances where lack of collaboration and open disagreements between the investigative agencies and the prosecutorial authorities have led to dismissal of a number of high-profile corruption cases. However, the judiciary remains steadfast in ensuring that every case is heard fairly and judiciously, with the aim of not only penalizing corrupt practices, but also deterring future misconduct that undermines public trust. This ought to be manifested in the judgments that are passed.
The launch of this plan resonates with the African Union Agenda 2063, which envisions an Africa driven by its citizens, free from corruption, and imbued with ethical values. Consequently, the successful implementation of this plan is essential for the achievement of the African Union Agenda 2063. Or to put it slightly differently, strategic frameworks, as detailed as what I have seen and reviewed, are definitely critical if we are to achieve the Africa we want, and absolutely essential if we are to whittle down and plug the holes of the estimated $80+ billion that this continent loses annually. The Chief Guest, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that the launch of the Kenya Integrity Plan falls in line with the provisions of the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, the AUCPCC, which is the Continental Convention on Tackling Corruption, and which Kenya is a state party to. One of the objectives of this convention is to promote and strengthen the development of mechanisms required to prevent, detect, punish, and eradicate corruption and related offenses in the public and private sectors. And indeed, this Kenya Integrity Plan qualifies as one such strategic mechanism for meeting our stated continental objectives.
Action against corruption starts with a good strategy and a good plan. Kenyan government has excellent opportunity to take an action and strengthen its anti-corruption efforts by building on the 2010 Constitution, different pieces of legislation that have been adopted since, and the ongoing reform efforts. The launch of the Integrity Plan today can be another step, as fight against corruption is, after all, a key priority for all Kenyans across the whole country. The European Union has worked with Kenya on the fight against corruption on many fronts. We support anti-corruption initiatives through our programs, and we have also integrated anti-corruption activities as a cross-cutting objective in several reform and collaboration engagements. This includes our support to justice reform, public finance management and e-procurement, digital land governance, but also our ongoing engagement around the improvement of business climate and investment climate here in the context of the implementation of the EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement.
I am honored and delighted today to address you in this momentous occasion of the launch of the Kenya Integrity Plan 2023-2028. The plan provides a comprehensive and integrated roadmap for a coordinated approach in fostering integrity and good governance in our country. the plan is a product of a consultative engagement between partner agencies and other stakeholders in our country. The overarching objective of the plan is to establish a more structured and coordinated framework for implementing programs aimed at mainstreaming integrity in both public and private sectors. As we gather here today, I call upon all of us to reflect on the journey the Kenya Leadership and Integrity Forum has walked to this level today. By so doing, we will be able to appreciate not only the milestones registered, but also the challenges encountered along the way. I also invite you to reflect on how effectively to prevent corruption and combat other economic crimes related in our institutions, in our communities, and in our country. I strongly believe that to win the war against corruption, we must approach it as a multifaceted problem that requires coordinated efforts, proactive measures, and sustained commitment from all sectors of our society. In this regard, one of the key strategic interventions requires us to strengthen enforcement and oversight institutions responsible for combating corruption and promoting accountability. This means not only ensuring that they are adequately funded and also operate in a conducive environment. We must also focus on building a strong legal and institutional framework that can handle corruption and economic crimes swiftly, efficiently, and transparently. I laud the Honorable Attorney General for spearheading the anti-corruption legal reforms through the proposed Anti-Corruption Laws Amendment Bill 2025. I am confident that the measures proposed in the bill will enhance efficiency and effectiveness in investigation, prosecution, and adjudication of corruption cases. Ladies and gentlemen, as we launch the plan today, it is important to note that significant resources are required for the effective implementation of this plan. In that regard, I call upon all partner agencies, as well as our development partners, to dedicate and commit resources for that purpose. I am aware the National Coordinating Committee is a critical organ in resource mobilization for the implementation of the Kenya Integrity Plan 2023-2028. The committee will therefore work closely with other stakeholders to ensure adequate resources are availed. As corruption prevention measure, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has established corruption prevention committees in various entities, and at the national level and at the devolved units of government. Additionally, with the support of the UN Global Compact Network, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has developed corruption risk assessment and management guidelines for the public and private entities. The guidelines give effect to the provisions of the Bribery Act, which obligates both the public and the private entities to put in place measures to curb corruption within their organizations. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I call upon each and every one of us to be champions of integrity in our respective institutions. As I conclude, I wish to mention that as the KLIF Coordination Committee Secretary, I will endeavor to convene at least 2 national coordinating meetings annually and seek participation of all the stakeholders in the commemoration of the regional and anti-corruption days. As I conclude, I just want to leave you with one thought, that as much as the fight against corruption may look momentous. It is not as complicated as it looks. If all of us, as mentioned in this particular speech, take prevention measures within our institutions and put in place systems that are hostile to corruption, the rate of corruption in all our institutions will have been reduced significantly. It is basically just thinking of theft in your house, for example, that if you put in place systems and procedures that are hostile to corruption within your house, then there will be less corruption or less stealing in your house. So with those few remarks, let me take this opportunity to welcome the chairperson of the EACC, Honorable David Oginde, to give his comments.
We are certainly delighted to have each and every one of us who has come today to be part of this great occasion. May I start by appreciating our chair of the National Coordinating Council Committee, and who is also our chief guest today, the Honorable Attorney General, for gracing this occasion. I'm aware that you are sitting on your toes because you had several other assignments that you needed to attend to. But thank you for being with us. I want to also appreciate the Honorable His Excellency, the Deputy Ambassador of the EU, for coming to be with us. Our Auditor General, I really liked the statistics that you gave us, but it just shows us how sick we are. I pray that we will take these things seriously and do whatever is necessary to be done. And let me not go down the whole list. All of us are here, are very distinguished members of our community here in Kenya and beyond, for taking your time to come and be with us here today. Today is significant, and I'm not going to say much. Like Excellency, you mentioned, coming last means that all the things you wanted to say have already been said. I will not repeat them. I'll just say one or two things as I invite our chief guest to come and address us. KLIF is one unique forum that brings all of us together, from the public sector, from the private sector, NGOs, and the list was given to us at the beginning. It means that this is the one forum where there can be no finger pointing, because we are pointing fingers to ourselves. Every one of us has opportunity to play their part in fighting corruption. The aspiration of KLIF is to have ethical leadership and governance measures that accelerate national progress and attainment of development goals. Therefore, the Kenya Integrity Plan that we are launching today aligns with our Vision 2030, with the better agenda of the government, and all the other aspirations that we have as a nation towards having a progressive nation that can attain economic independence and all the development that we aspire towards. I want to just say one thing, and I actually sit down. Good must prevail over evil. Light must overcome darkness. No matter how small a light you put in a room of darkness, darkness gives up. It is when we cover our lights that darkness prevails. All of us who are here, some of us have spotlights, some of us have candles, some of us have floodlights. We used to have that phrase, especially used by KPLC, Mulika Mwizi. If we all of us follow that slogan to shine our lights against the thieves and robbers of this country, we can drive this thing out of our nation. One of the unique attributes of Kenyans is our ability to unite and work together to confront and overcome challenges that stand against us. Poor students have been helped to attain highest education through collective efforts. Medical bills have been paid by friends and relatives coming together to contribute whatever little they have. And people who would otherwise have died in hospitals have been helped to come out. And the list goes on of the things that we as a nation have done because of our collective efforts in the spirit of Harambee that is embedded in our emblems. Our freedom fighters fought relentlessly with crude weapons and overcame our colonizers. I believe if we unite in this same spirit, we can rescue our nation from this existential threat. Today, I want to especially call on the private sector. A lot is said about the public sector when it comes to corruption. But as some people have observed before, I want to observe again. Public sector officials do not corrupt themselves. I would like to appeal to all of us who are out there as business people, as professionals, in whichever ordinary citizens who want doing business with government. Let us desist from engaging in corrupt deals through shortcuts that eventually corrodes the very fabric of our society. If we do not compromise our public servants, looking for preferential considerations, I believe we can overcome this menace that is threatening our country. Therefore, I want to appeal to all stakeholders to support the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum as a platform that provides us with opportunity to share information, to engage in practical solutions in the quest for good governance for our country. I believe that if we are united, next time we meet here, it will be time not for mourning, but for celebration, because our nation will be in the right direction. With those few remarks, may I take this opportunity to invite our chief guest, the Honorable Attorney General, Honorable Dorcas Oduor.
I'm delighted to be here today as we launch the Kenya Integrity Plan 2023-2028. This is a momentous occasion, not only for the institutions represented here, but for the entire nation, as we reaffirm our unwavering commitment to integrity, transparency, and accountability in all facets of public and private life. Integrity is the cornerstone of any thriving democracy and a key pillar of sustainable development. A nation that upholds the principles of good governance, honesty, and ethical leadership is one that ensures prosperity for its people. The Kenya Integrity Plan provides us with a strategic roadmap to reinforce these principles and address the challenges that have hindered our collective progress under the framework of the Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, corruption, unethical practices, and abuse of office continue to pose significant threats to our national development. These vices drain public resources, erode public trust, and stifle economic growth. Through this plan that we are launching today, we are sending a clear message that Kenya is resolute in its pursuit of an integrity-driven society. The Kenya Integrity Plan is not just a policy document. It is a call to action. It aligns with our national and international commitments, including the Constitution of Kenya, the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, and the African Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption. It serves as a comprehensive framework that emphasizes prevention, detection, enforcement, and civic engagement in promoting integrity and ethics. As a government, we recognize that no single entity can combat corruption and uphold integrity alone. This requires a collaborative effort among government institutions, the private sector, civil society, religious organizations, and the general public. This plan establishes clear mechanisms for strengthening institutional frameworks, enhancing public service ethics, and fostering a culture of transparency and accountability. Indeed, the fight for integrity is not solely the responsibility of the government. The private sector plays a critical role in ensuring ethical business practices, promoting fair competition, and fostering responsible corporate governance. I urge our business leaders to embrace transparency, reject illicit financial flows, and adopt integrity as a core business value. Similarly, civil society organizations have a duty to hold institutions accountable, advocate for reforms, and educate the public on their role in fostering an ethical society. A vigilant and engaged citizenry is key to ensuring that integrity becomes a way of life rather than a mere aspiration. We also take cognizance that governance is one of the key enablers of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda aimed at creating a conducive business environment for socioeconomic transformation in our country. To realize such aspirations, we must strengthen the rule of law, enhance access to justice, promote the respect of human rights, peace, and zero tolerance to corruption. As the Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice, we commit to steer legal reforms, enforce anti-corruption measures, and promote a transparent legal system as enshrined in the Integrity Plan and other policy documents as the National Ethics and Anti-Corruption Policy. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to highlight some of the achievements made by the Office of the Attorney General in the fight against corruption. We have been coordinating mutual legal assistance in corruption, economic crimes, and criminal matters to leverage on international cooperation for effective investigation, prosecution, adjudication, and recovery of assets. However, on this, I want to note that the traditional methods of mutual legal assistance and international cooperation are not becoming very responsive to the current corruption environment. We all know that as we leverage on technology in business, digitization, investigations of corruption becomes very complex and very expensive. And for that matter, time is also of essence and it crosses borders. So the traditional methods of mutual legal assistance and international cooperation are no longer responsive. And for that reason, the Office of the Attorney General must be at the forefront to modernize mutual legal assistance mechanisms and methods of international cooperation that are timely and respond to the technology framework that we are working in today, and we are looking into that. We are also undertaking anti-corruption campaigns and have established county anti-corruption oversight committees in all 47 counties to educate, sensitize, and create awareness on corruption in the counties for purposes of effecting a fundamental change in the attitudes, behaviors, and culture among Kenyans. We have developed and published regulations under the Anti-Bribery Act and guidelines to assist public and private entities in the preparation of procedures for the prevention of bribery and corruption. we have developed the Whistleblower Protection Bill, which seeks, among others, to provide procedures for reporting of improper conduct and sets out measures for persons who report improper conduct, that is whistleblowers. We have developed the Anti-Corruption Laws Amendment Bill 2025, which seeks to, among other things, have corruption and economic crimes trial concluded within 6 months after commencement and lessen the time taken on appeals at the High Court and the Court of Appeal. So we hope that if the amendments go through, then all corruption cases will have to be concluded within 6 months. We have called for the preparation and publication of quarterly reports by the Director of Public Prosecutions on cases submitted by EACC for enhanced accountability by both entities. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to enhance institutional accountability, I urge and call upon all members to ensure the activities of the respective institutions outlined in the Kenya Integrity Plan are implemented. Indeed, the success of implementing the Kenya Integrity Plan is greatly dependent on the support, goodwill, dedication, and commitment of all stakeholders. And as I had said earlier on, as we take up e-procurement, e-citizen, IFMIS, it calls upon these institutions to really have very strong monitoring mechanisms. As the chairperson of the National Coordination Committee of Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum, a committee consisting of heads of institutions, I assure you of my commitment to having meetings twice a year in line with the Kenya Integrity Plan, that is, in the months of May and October. Convening regular meetings will ensure that we monitor the implementation of the Kenya Integrity Plan while coordinating support to members. In undertaking the various institutional responsibilities under the Kenya Integrity Plan, financial resources are an integral part. We aim to see accelerated progress and integrate the Kenya Integrity Plan activities to build up support for the anti-corruption efforts and drive tangible results. I therefore call upon all Kenya Leadership Integrity Forum institutions to explore the provision of adequate budgetary allocation to support implementation of the activities of the Kenya Integrity Plan. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today marks a new chapter in our nation's journey toward a corruption-free Kenya. The plan is a blueprint for a better future, and its successful implementation requires commitment, collaboration, and sustained action from all of us. Before I conclude, I think it will be remiss of me not to remind us that with the geopolitics, it is imperative that we fight corruption because we need all the resources that we have to support our healthcare, our education, our housing, and our security. We can no longer rely on any other person or big brother to do this. So if we are saying that we are losing so much money that would have gone to development that we have very eloquently articulated this morning, it is therefore no better time to call upon all of us that fighting corruption for us to make sure that we ring-fence all the monies that we get for our national development and social welfare can never be as important as today. I reiterate my unwavering support in promoting national inclusivity in the fight against corruption. Let us all work together towards a more transparent and accountable future. And as I finish, I read in the newspaper today, it was being reported, I think it was a report from the Auditor General, saying that in one institution, the human resource from one ethnic community was more than 60%. When we're talking about corruption, it's not only about money, but it's also about nepotism. But I'm asking myself, we are talking about the head of this institution. No head of an institution can do that without the help of the HR director, planning director. So all these people must be held accountable, not only the head of the institution. So in our institution, as we speak about corruption, let us remember that it's not only about money, it is about any undeserved advantage given to another person directly or indirectly in any other way. And it cannot be done by one person in an institution, it is all the way up to down. So we cannot be pointing at the top. We have to point top, horizontally, vertically, horizontally, and downwards. So I hope that these reports remind us that we have to relook at our institutions again, and we have to live by what we are talking about in our Constitution, in our principle of value, in our principles of governance, as articulated under our Constitution. Thank you, and God bless.
Of the Kenya